Fear stops us from achieving our true greatness. Are you a professional woman who is feeling stuck, unmotivated, or burned out? Are you worried about your wellness? Are you letting fear stop you from crushing your goals? If you answered yes to any or all of these, then this is the podcast for you. Dr. Charmaine Gregory, night shift emergency physician, burnout thriver, and wellness champion, along with everyday heroes just like you, will explore how to face fear in our lives and emerge victoriously.
Hello, hello, hello. It's Dr. G, and welcome to another episode of the Fearless Freedom with Dr. G podcast. I am super excited to have you here. I am extremely excited about the fact that we are finally coming towards the election. It is this Tuesday, and that means that all of the craziness will come to an end. Yay! And all of the barraging of, all of politics. So hopefully we will have that behind us and it will be fantastic. So anyway, this Tuesday is election day. And so what does that mean? That means please exercise your right to vote. If you've already voted, fantastic. Kudos to you. I myself have already voted. I dropped my ballot off a few weeks ago at the county clerk's office. So yay, super excited about that. So, as U.S. citizens, we have the right to vote. For many, that right has come with great sacrifice by those who preceded us. So this is an opportunity for us to exercise our right to vote, and that is a privilege. So let's do it. Let's get out there and vote. Every single vote does count. And, we've been having this campaign going, the hashtag #MedVote, which is several physician podcasters getting together and spreading the word about voting. So yay, let's do it. Let's practice our civic rights and make it happen. Great news. Absolutely, absolutely great news. Let me just tell you that my heart is completely bursting with joy because, oh my gosh, thanks to you who are currently listening, yes, you, don't look around, I'm talking to you. We crushed the 17,000 downloads milestone. Oh my gosh. It's like I had to pinch myself every single time I look at the numbers because every time I go in there, we're like up another 1,000. It's just amazing. So, and then get this, we are on our way to 18,000 downloads. Whoa. Let me just show you that I am like doing the mind blown motion. So if I had an emoji, the mind blown emoji would be right in the spot. So thank you for making this podcast a huge success. And of course, I'm going to do my little happy dance because it makes me happy to know that you're facing your fears and you're emerging victoriously and that this show is helping you to do just that. So thank you so much for subscribing to the show, listening to it, sharing with a friend or two, and leaving a 5-star rating. Let me tell you, this goes such a long way. So, I just want to share something with you. I haven't been reading the comments that people have left, but oh my gosh, some of these comments are absolutely amazing. And thank you for them. I appreciate them. It helps me to keep going because, this is a labor of love, of course. And I really do, this podcast got started because I have a fear of public speaking and I was looking for ways in which to improve on that. Or let's just say, face my fear of public speaking. And one of the ways in which I decided to do that was to start this podcast, basically chronicling not only my journey facing my fear, but also to have other people come on the show and talk about their fears. And hopefully that will help someone else. And so it's a collective. It is essentially an opportunity for us all to improve ourselves. So it's a personal development show. That's really what it has turned into, which is really, really cool. And, I've had people come up to me and tell me that, they're going to be, they're going to be basically be brave, be strong and release and unleash their greatness. And that just warms my heart. Maybe some, I've had a couple people come and tell me that, they're going to be facing their fear. And the reason why they're going to do it is because they heard the story of somebody who came on a show, or maybe they've been listening to my story and that has really impacted their life. And now they're going to go and do the thing that they have been shying away from because of fear. And so, of course, nothing dangerous. Always the caveat of nothing dangerous. So, it's just, those are the things. So there is a priceless, non-monetary reward of podcasting. That right there is it. Having people's lives impacted by something that initially was my own pain point, and to see that just being open about what's going on with me has helped so many other people. And having people on the show also be open about what's going on with them has also helped so many other people. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you for tuning into the show, for giving the show love. I mean, these are the things that are going to help the show to stay on the air. And I just want to let you guys know that we are coming up on episode 100 soon. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited. I can't believe it. I have to pinch myself again. But literally, episode 100 is coming up. This is episode 97. So in 3 episodes, we're going to be at 100 episodes, and we'll be on the air for essentially 2 full years every single week, save probably like 1 or 2 weeks where we missed. So that's incredible. Okay. I don't know if you know anything about podcasting. If you do, you know that that's incredible. And so it could not have happened without you. So each and every one of those downloads means something incredible. And so, I don't take it lightly when I say thank you, and that the success of the show is because of you, because it really is because of you. So thank you for the support, and keep hanging in there, keep doing it, keep facing your fears, keep emerging victoriously, because that is really what it's all about. All right. So in the same vein, a couple of things that are coming down the pike. I just want to give you a little bit of heads up. I am still going to do the swag shop. I still haven't completely decided on all of the swag. I have taken into account all of the wonderful suggestions like the blue blockers, jump drives, earphones, masks, stickers, and water bottles. Love every single one of those. And I have been essentially trialing some blue blockers to see if they would be potentially a candidate for our swag store. But the other thing I've been toying around with, and you got to let me know what you think about this, but I have also been toying around with creating a Fearless Freedom Tribe community. I would have an app. I would have basically the community would be a subscription, right? So it would be essentially like a mastermind for you to really dig deep, face those fears, have the resources available to you in order to do that, have the support available in order to do that. And so, I'm definitely in that phase, that brainstorming phase. And so I am open to your input on this, because I would love it for it to be a community that, we are all invested in. And, they say that part of being invested in something usually means that you're putting something down, like you have something to lose, right? Not something to lose, but maybe that's not the right term. But you are invested in it from your pocket as well, because we tend to, when we put money down on something, we tend to actually carry through with it. And the objective would be to have a very vibrant and involved community. So, I feel like if you subscribe to the thing, you subscribe to the community, and you're part of the community, you are more apt to be involved in it, and you're more apt to get much, much more out of it. So, like I said, that's in the works. I am working through that, what the logistics are going to look like, and how much it would be a month. But, I'm thinking it's probably going to be $50 a month, and it's going to be incredible amounts of content, like everything involved. Like, it's going to be amazing. And there's going to be an app that you can download on your phone that's going to go with it. So it's going to be like amazing. So that's what I am thinking about. That's what I am cooking up, I guess, in the lab. There you go. Cooking up in the lab. So that's coming down the pike. So listen out and look out for that. And start thinking about how you're going to be part of the community, because I want you to be part of it. I want you to get the benefits of a tribe. I want you to feel like you are in that growth zone, that you're going to get pushed into that growth zone so that you can indeed be strong, be brave, and unleash your greatness. I mean, that's what it's all about. And so, in that same vein of stepping into greatness, I have to give a shout out, of course, to the people, the amazing women who have so far put their shows out from the podcasting launch course. And they are the 3 shows that I love to highlight because I am super proud and super honored to have been part of their journeys. And so you want to show them love, here's how you can do it. You can show them love by checking out their shows, showing them love by subscribing, leaving a 5-star rating, sharing, and leaving a positive comment. So are you ready? Are you ready to hit subscribe on your favorite platform? First one that you want to hit subscribe on and show love to is Pivot and Bloom. Pivot and Bloom is an amazing podcast that's put out by Dr. Mila, and she talks about change, flourish, and repeat. Change, flourish, and repeat. And she does it in high fashion. The next one is the Drama-Free Workplace with Patty Perez. Oh my gosh. Patty brings the fire and she helps you to nix the drama in your life. At work, everything, every aspect, okay? She is gangster when it comes to this. You have got to subscribe. You have got to listen. You have got to share her show. And this is a shameless plug. I had the honor of being on her show. Oh my gosh, I loved it. It was awesome. She's an amazing interviewer. She was just phenomenal. So check out that episode. And then we have Living at Your Finest, and that is with Dr. Babs, okay? So Dr. Babs, Living at Your Finest is amazing. And another shameless plug, I was on Dr. Babs' show here this past week. So check out the most recent episode of Living at Your Finest. And that podcast is about personal development. It's about health. It is putting fun, fundamental, and faith-based framework to work to make your life be at its finest. So check it out. Now, you're hearing me talk about this. You hear me talk about podcasting all the time. You hear me telling you how amazing this art form is and how you can reach your customers, your clients, how you can reach the people that you are within your cause. You can amplify your voice so many ways, and through this media. Guess what? People can listen to you on the other side of the world. People that you would not reach by email or by Facebook or Instagram. People who you would not engage with regularly, who are in your tribe, who may be somewhere other than where you are, can hear your voice, can benefit from your expertise. How? By you starting a podcast, okay? So you may be one of those people who's been on the fair fence and you're like, I want to start a podcast. Sounds like a great idea. Everybody's talking about how amazing podcasting is and how much people are turning towards podcasts in these days. Now, you may be saying to yourself, oh my goodness, I have no idea what to do. How do I do it? Where do I start? Okay, fine. No problem. That's why I have the podcasting launch course, okay? That's why I developed it, so that you could have the benefit of all the things that I did, all the trial and error, fall on the face, get back up, all that stuff. You get to nix that. You get to skip past that because I show you what to do. I help you to get from conception to show launch. Okay, so it's a facilitated course. Check it out. Sign up today. I still have a wait list going. The wait list is filling. Okay, so you want to be a part of that. And you can access it by going to bit.ly /P as in Paul, L as in Larry, C as in car, wait list. Okay, so go there, sign up, and get on the roster for the course. Now, maybe you're saying, oh my goodness, I'm too busy. I can't take a facilitated course, but I still want to get my show started. No problem. That's why we have the podcast in a box. That is for you then. Basically, the podcast in a box, we do guide you through the process, but in essence, really what you do is you provide us with the audio for the first 5 shows. You give us input into the things you would like us to create. And then we do the rest. We do the heavy lifting. We do the show art. We do the show notes. We do all that stuff for you. And you can access that at bit.ly /D as in dog, F as in fish, Y as in yes, podcast. Okay? So get out the fair fence today. Your tribe is waiting for your voice. Boom. Okay. All right. Now for this week's show. So this week, and I will let you know that this was recorded quite a bit ago. This is recorded in early summer. And this podcast is really cool because it is with Melainie Rogers, and she is going to talk to us a lot about her journey. She's got a really fascinating story. So you will hear her story, you will hear her journey, and you'll hear how she is making her mark and impacting the people around her. And so, oh my goodness, you just got to take a listen. So I'm going to stop talking so that you can take a listen to Melainie and get all of the amazing gems that she drops. All right, here we go. Hello, Fearless Freedom family. It is Dr. G, and today we have a very special guest. And she comes all the way from almost the other side of the world. Actually, it is the other side of the world. Well, she resides in the United States now, but she is going to tell you all about herself, what she's up to, and it is Melainie Rogers. Melainie, you want to tell the Fearless Freedom Tribe who you are and what you're up to?
Absolutely. Thanks, Dr. G. My name's Melainie. Thank you for that lovely introduction. I am a registered dietitian. I'm an Australian. I've been residing here in New York for about 20 years now. I came out here to do my clinical nutrition studies at New York University 20 years ago. And I was interested in working at the Obesity Research Center, which is located in New York, which is the reason I decided to come out here, to be close to the research in this area. And that led me to my field, my current field, which I am so passionate about, Charmaine, which is eating disorders and disordered eating. And throughout the last 20 years, I've been working in that field, and I've become a certified eating disorder registered dietitian and supervisor. And then, seeing a dearth of services here in New York City, opened my own outpatient treatment center about 11 years ago called Balance Eating Disorder Treatment Center. And we treat the spectrum of eating disorders, Charmaine, from anorexia and bulimia, which most people are more familiar with, at least in the in society as a general concept. Think of those as the main eating disorders. But my passion is actually for binge eating disorder and compulsive overeating and emotional eating, and working with clients who often will be struggling also with living life in a in a higher weight body, and of course the weight stigma and social justice issues that then come along with that, and weight discrimination and weight bias, which knowing some of your listeners, being a lot of your listeners are docs, and yourself as a doctor, I'm sure you're very familiar with the idea of weight bias and discrimination, and us as healthcare professionals unifying around this and seeing what we can do to change that conversation and that practice.
Absolutely. And so, if there are those who are listening who are wondering, what do you mean by that? Right? Is the weight discrimination or the weight bias just for those who are overweight, or is it inclusive of both ends of the spectrum?
It's a really good question. The way that we're seeing it as a societal manifestation is because our culture right now, because it hasn't always been this way, because the thin ideal is so much a part of what society embraces as valuable and beautiful, and the goal for predominantly women to strive for. It puts a lot of pressure on society at large, women in particular. And we know that guys, unfortunately, also develop eating disorders and disordered eating. And it's not that they're immune to this, but as far as the thin ideal, that is specific around gender. And also in Western societies, it's something that is embraced. And our clients of all races also feel this pressure as well. So it's across the spectrum. And what we're seeing is, because of that, more and more people feel that they need to be dieting to be looking attractive, etc. And also weight is a proxy or is used as a proxy for health, which is not accurate and not true. But unfortunately, because of different forces, one being the social pressures, one being even the medical pressures, we're pushing people to be striving to try to control their weight. People are therefore dieting, yo-yo dieting, weight cycling, and a lot of body dissatisfaction as a result of all of that pressure. So I
Wow.
would suggest that the weight stigma is a little bit of a one-sided conversation. Certainly,
Okay.
we know that when people drop weight and they're below, 18 and, when we use BMIs, which is an inaccurate measure, but
Right.
nonetheless.
Because I'm considered overweight. If anybody can, I mean, the ones who are
Oh,
watching the video, they can see that I'm not overweight. Like when you look at me, I don't look like I'm overweight, but my BMI says that I am, right? I'm actually in the obese category. So,
but I think you as a doctor hopefully also know that the BMI categories, the BMI anyway, is something that's a
exactly.
measure for populations, and also the research tells us that people who are in the so-called overweight and even up to a BMI of 30 are the healthiest and have the highest rates of the highest life expectancy and such like this. So there's a lot of misinformation
Oh,
out
there is.
there,
And it doesn't
right?
take into account a lot of things, obviously. Like if you are someone who has a lot of muscle mass, you're going to weigh more for your height.
Exactly. That's
And so
exactly
therefore,
right.
your BMI is going to put you in the obesity category, even if you're not
That's
actually
right.
obese. So
Exactly.
it's such an interesting
Oh,
thing.
it's an inaccurate tool, albeit it's the only tool, and somehow we've jumped on that as a tool. But yeah, your example is great. I always use the example, it might be outdated, of Arnold Schwarzenegger back
Oh
in the
yeah,
day,
he would be
Mr.
considered a
Universe,
very obese,
morbidly obese,
morbidly obese.
and at that peak time, which was very unhealthy, actually, had no body fat whatsoever or very little. So exactly. So
Yeah.
it's an inaccurate measure. It's just one factor. But unfortunately, because of the way that we use weight as a proxy for health,
Mm-hmm.
and people, society at large, everyone wants to be the healthiest version of themselves, generally speaking. So there is this misinformation that is driving what dieting, which is leading to, for many people, unhealthy behaviors, disordered
Right.
eating, a loaded relationship, a non-neutral relationship with food, and very high rates of body dissatisfaction, which also then has an impact on self-esteem, self-confidence, anxiety, depression. I'm sorry if I'm bombarding you with a lot of
No. This is
information in
good.
a short period of time, but we're seeing just more and more how damaging that weight-centric focus can be, and that's actually not as accurate as we've been told.
Yeah. And now I definitely can see what you're saying there. And the thing though, that we do know that there is some association with, carrying, excess body weight on your person that is not, muscle, but is actually a lot of adipose tissue,
Yep.
can predispose you to some medical issues, right? So you
Yep.
can have, a version of diabetes that it comes as a consequence of that. You can have problems with your blood pressure as a consequence of the abundance of adipose tissue. So that's a little different situation than just saying, oh, your BMI is X or Y, and so you are in the obese or the morbidly obese category. The other thing that I've noticed with individuals who have an abundance of adipose tissue and therefore, as a corollary, have an increase in how much they weigh, is that it excludes them from being able to get some of the diagnostic testing that we utilize. So some of the imaging. And sometimes it is the actual poundage or kilograms or however you want to describe it. But sometimes it is the actual girth, like whatever our girth is, right? So because some of the imaging machines, they have a gantry, right? So you have a circle and you have a
Yeah.
movable table, and there's a
Yeah.
tensile strength to that table, right? And so it's hanging. So it's not like it's a stationary thing that's bolted into the ground that can take whatever weight possible. It has to be able to move back and forth through the gantry. And so there is a limitation on the weight that it can handle. And then the gantry itself, there's a limitation on the width that it can handle going through
Yes.
smoothly. So that's kind of where I've seen, an abundance of weight in the sense of an abundance of adipose tissue plays a huge role in limiting being able to diagnose certain things. So if I have a patient who is above that limitation on that machine, and they have a problem that I'm worried about, one of the ways that's really the only way for a lot of things that I can diagnose that problem is utilizing that machine. It's horrible, but that's what happens. So, when the medical establishment is kind of fixated on that, or may become fixated on it, it is not because they want to shame someone who is in this particular category. That is not the goal. The goal is always going to be to get you to the place where you can get the best care possible, and you can be in the best health state possible. So, let me tell you, it's not an easy time when I have to make a decision blindly about a person because I cannot get the test. And it has happened to me a couple of times in my career, and it is not nice. Like, it is not something that is pleasant by any means. And I understand, I don't blame that person for, how they have attained this abundance of adipose tissue. That's never my first thought. My first thought is, oh my God, I am not going to be able to give you the best possible care because I cannot find out what the root cause is of your problem. So that is the part that is painful for us as people who are providing care. So, I don't think people mean to be biased. I think that they have angst, right? Like, they will have angst. They're like, how am I going to get my patient to be in a state? Now, I'm not saying you got to be skinny. Nobody's saying you have to be skinny, but get you to a state where you have every opportunity to be your best, in your best state of health, and also to be able to get care that you need when you actually need it. So absolutely. I think that's the interesting part about all that. At least speaking from the perspective of an ER doctor. I don't know about other doctors, but this is what I feel about it. So it's interesting. So because I know that individuals who are on the end of the spectrum where there's abundance of adipose and their weight as a consequence is higher, than the typical person's weight. They do face other issues societally, right? Like, they try to get on a plane and they may not necessarily fit in the seat on the plane, right? Sometimes they have to buy 2 tickets, right? So there's that. There are, mobility issues that can sometimes arise. And so now they have to figure a way to maneuver the society, not using their legs, but, using some other way of mobilizing. And so that's another thing, right? Because then it's like, well, you are, technically you're not a special needs person, right? Technically you're not handicapped, right? But you have a special need because you're no longer able to ambulate for long distances because of what's happening with your body.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely see our clients struggling with exactly those scenarios. Yeah.
So how do you help people? Like, how do you get them? I mean, is there mindset work that's done? Is there like, I know it's not as simple as you mentioned, getting on a diet, right? Because that's the whole thing. It's not a diet. It is literally, you just have to change how you eat. It's not a diet, because a diet really like insinuates that it is something that is a temporary scenario. And what does the body do when you stop doing that thing? It reverts back to what it was before, or even
Yeah.
worse. So it's not a diet, but in talking to, a couple of people who have been in the situation, like physically they've been there, and kind of, came through it. They say it's a lot of mental work, a lot of mindset work that goes along with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's very complicated. It's very multifaceted. Many of our clients struggle with actually binge eating disorder. So which is actually an illness. Binge eating disorder is when you're over consuming a large amount of food in a shorter period of time, and you feel great distress around it and you're not able to stop doing it. So we work with a lot of clients who struggle with that as an illness. What we find, Dr. G, is that a lot of clients out there who are living life in a higher weight body don't actually know that they have binge eating disorder or disordered eating. They actually think it is a lack of willpower, or they've been told that it's a lack of willpower and they just need to find the right diet. And we actually know that for people who gain a lot of weight, as a result of maybe an underlying medical complication, and or exacerbated by eating behaviors, and or maybe exacerbated by food scarcity, because there's a lot of research now that points to communities who grow up with food scarcity, there's higher rates than average of binge eating disorder, because the idea is that there are periods when there isn't access to food, and then there's periods when there's access to food, and physiologically and psychologically the body is going to take advantage of access to food and overeat. And so the internal regulatory system of hunger, fullness, your appetite hormones, leptin, ghrelin, PYY, you've heard of these.
Yes.
That whole system gets messed up. And then there's another piece here. I mean, it's multifaceted, obviously, but another piece that's very important for us to realize is that at a certain amount of weight gain, our fat cells, it's a finite amount of fat cells, actually, there's a genetic blueprint for the number of fat cells that a body has, in the same way that your height is fairly predictable or predicted by genetics. And so when we get to a certain level of excess calories over time, and our fat cell stores are maxed out, our fat cells will then duplicate to provide more storage opportunities. Once that happens, that's irreversible. Why is that important? Because our fat cells are not just hanging out doing nothing except for storing extra energy. Our fat cells are actually very active, producing leptin as one of them, as an appetite hormone, and is very actively communicating with the brain to make sure that they maintain maximum storage. What that means is, as you lose weight, you lose fat out of the cells, but you don't lose fat cells. So those cells then revolt as you lose weight and communicate to the brain that, hey, listen, this is not good. This is starvation risk. We're losing our storage units here. You need to start eating, and eating a lot more. And so therefore the body then regains weight. So the body is going to protect that high about the bonds to bodies when they go through weight gain, and why it is irreversible for people to then, if they've gained 100 pounds, it's irreversible for them to lose 100 pounds and get back to that pre-weight gain weight and sustain it. Because if you look at the research, 2 to 5 years later, after people go through a weight loss period, they regain all the weight, and usually extra, because of the changes in body composition as well. So it's a very, very difficult situation, because, as you said, our goal as MDs for yourself and as an RD and any healthcare professional, but also from a public health perspective, we want people to know how to be the healthiest versions of themselves.
Right.
But also, if we have these realistic limitations, that putting someone on a weight loss plan is actually we know now, actually counterproductive, and ultimately ends up doing more harm than good. We need to therefore think about, well, what are our alternatives and what else can we recommend? Because, as you said, there's a high correlation with illness. For some, there are mobility concerns that some of our clients, once they get to a certain weight, it's very problematic for them. And not to mention the weight stigma piece, where we have clients who are walking around in our society in a higher weight body, and they're ridiculed, and the stress of living with that kind of weight stigma is takes a toll, as we know.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, so do you mind talking a little bit about some of the techniques that you utilize? Because if you do not do a particular, weight plan, or, you don't do a plan, is there a nutrition plan that you target, or how do you go about dealing with these situations then?
Sure. So, there's what we're looking, so we're just looking at the research. What is the research telling us that can be helpful? And so what we're looking at from a holistic perspective is we're not using weight as a proxy for health. We're looking at what are all the indicators that contribute to health. And that is considering, as you said, our lipid levels, our blood pressure levels, our mobility, our mental health. And so what we attempt to do is try to look at all of those. And of course, optimizing nutrition, which means not putting you on a weight loss plan, but are you eating enough fruits and vegetables and all the good stuff that's going to lead to a nourished body? Because we actually find that for a lot of our clients with binge eating disorder, they actually are malnourished because they're not necessarily eating foods that have the highest nutrition value, which is your typical fruits, veg, high fiber. There's some interesting research, Dr. G, that I'm sure you're aware of as well, around the microbiome and gut health, bacterial gut health. So higher fiber, more fruit, more veg. And then, of course, joyful movement. So we also know that if you look at the research with the correlation with illness as our weight trends up, if you also look at sedentary rates, there's a real connection there. So we want to have our clients engage in some joyful movement, whatever that means to them.
Right.
And then, of course, we need to look at sleep. We also need to look at consistent meal intake, because that actually will help with insulin response. That'll help with appetite hormone regulation. That'll help with a lot of circadian rhythm with sleep as well. Helps to get a lot of those hormone systems back in a more regulated way. So these are some of the more holistic ways that we're looking at that, as well as mental health, which is anxiety and depression. And unfortunately for a lot of our clients, there's underlying trauma, which actually leads to, or actually is a huge risk factor for developing a disordered eating pattern to begin with. So you have to be looking at that. So it's multifaceted. There's not one simple answer, but I think we're both very, very committed and joined in our desire to want to help our clients live the healthiest version of their life that they can. And so those are some ways that we're trying to do that without a focus on weight per se.
Okay. All right. And then, thank you. And then can you just tell the Fearless Freedom Tribe how to reach you, like the information online and all of that?
Absolutely. You can reach me via my website, which is www.balancedtx.com. That's balance with a D, tx.com. And if you're interested, we also have a free 20-minute discovery call if you want to reach out to one of my team members who are all licensed therapists. If you know someone who might be struggling with their relationship with food and troubled around body dissatisfaction, we can definitely help you there.
Awesome. And now I would love it if you could tell the audience a situation where you had fear and you overcame it. It maybe, I don't know, I'm just saying, as a fellow immigrant, it might have been your transition from your home country to the United States. It might have been, starting your practice. I don't know what it is for you, but if you could pick one and share, and then tell us how you dealt with that fear.
Absolutely. Yes. The big one that comes to mind when you give those examples is when I started my private practice. Oh my God, I was terrified. I had been working for someone, and then I decided to take that leap to open my own private practice. And I was I was like almost physically ill with fear of, will anyone actually refer clients to me? And what I did is I took that as a huge motivator,
Okay.
probably huge amounts of anxiety along with that. And
Okay.
I kind of channeled that energy into just outreach. So I called every clinician I could find on a database who were eating disorder specialists, and I called them again. And I probably, you would call it stalking now.
Hey, you did what you had to do. You did what you had to do to get the result that you needed.
Have coffee with as many of these providers as I can, and that was how I started my private practice. So that's a great question, Dr. G.
Oh, no, that's good. That's good. So you recognized it and you took action, right? So you
Yes.
weren't paralyzed by that, which is amazing. And that's the thing that a lot of us have to deal with. So we have a fear and then we let that fear stop us from doing the thing. But you didn't do that. You did not let it stop you. You said, you know what? This is a situation. If I don't have any clients, I don't eat. Like, you eat what you kill kind of
Exactly.
situation. So you said,
Yes.
what can I do? Oh, I can just find out how
Yeah.
many people are in this town that do this thing, and I'm going to get referrals from all these people. And so that's exactly what
Right.
you did. So that was
That's right.
great.
Yes.
That was
Yes.
great.
Because the motivation is I need to pay my rent and I don't want to starve.
Exactly. Right. You don't want to
Exactly.
starve. No one wants to starve. No, that's
That's
great.
true.
That is great. Awesome. 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 So we saw your cutie pie. She popped in. I don't know if you noticed that she was behind you
Yes, I
there.
did.
Yeah. She's so cute. She's like looking around like, what's mama doing?
I know. She knows she's not supposed to be up here, but she's so curious. Oh, she Zoom bombs all my calls,
Oh yeah. She
unfortunately.
wants to know. She wants to know what's happening.
Yes. Yes.
No, that's great. I'm surprised one of mine haven't come in here because they typically like to do that. It's like
Yeah.
their pastime now. It's like not
Yeah.
everybody's
Mommy,
doing
what are you?
virtual meetings. They're like,
Yeah.
mama's recording. Let's go take a look and see what she's doing.
That's right.
So it's all good.
Thank you.
So we have had such a great conversation. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. And I know that the Fearless Freedom Tribe, if they'll come and take a look at your site. And if they know someone who needs your services, I'm sure they will pass on the information, because this is something that is pretty ubiquitous. There are people who look like me, and I don't know if you guys can see, but I'm morbidly obese, right? People who look like me, morbidly obese, but who also have issues with body image. And I'm not saying that I do, because I don't. I'm like, I'm 45 and I really don't care. So
I love it.
It's something about the 40s. I don't know. I was talking to somebody the
Yes.
other day about that.
Yes.
It's like the 40s are liberating, let me tell you.
Yes.
And so, I know that there are people who may not fit into the quote unquote category of, carrying around a lot of weight, but still have issues with image. And so I know that you guys can help out with that as well. So
Yep.
Definitely, if you're listening and you're like, oh, it's not for me, but you never know, it might just be for you. So keep that in mind. All right. So the tradition on the show is that we have a fill in the blank, and we are at that point in the show. So are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, cool. Okay. So the first one is, if I am fearless, I will.
If I'm fearless, I will take on my, if I'm fearless, I will help my field actually develop a universal training program for healthcare professionals.
Awesome. So you know what I'm going to say next, right? What's stopping you? What's stopping you from doing that?
Because it feels exhausting to even contemplate it, but it's so needed and so necessary. And I feel that part of my contribution to my field is that it's kind of not even if, it's like I feel I have to do it. I feel like it's so needed, Dr. G. And I just feel the compulsion that I just have to do it. Like I'm already starting to do it. I teach a class at NYU on eating disorders to the next generation of RDs, and we need to go bigger. We need to go. Mm-hmm. It's just dipping my toe in to kind of get that process started. But after 20 years in the field, there hasn't been a lot of movement, unfortunately. And this is an illness that affects the eating disorder piece of what we talked about today, affects 10% of the population.
Wow.
At some point in their lives,
Mm-hmm.
and for women, who are over the age of 50, more women die from an eating disorder or consequences than breast cancer, but no one knows that. That's not spoken about. So we need more healthcare professionals out there who can screen, assess, diagnose, and get our people who are suffering into the right hands for good care. So that's what I would want to do.
Okay. And it sounds like you've started step one by teaching the class. So is there an organization that is a national organization that you could potentially insert said class into their curriculum or their national meeting, or, on their website, something that's evergreen and people can go to and get maybe continuing education credits from doing it and going through it? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, there are actually 5 big associations that I'm a member of and involved in, and we're certainly working towards that.
Okay.
But I'd like to get the curriculum into the university systems so that MDs, it's part of their training, our RDs, dieticians, myself included, it's part of our training for our therapists and for our psychiatrists. So if we all got, a little bit more ED training in our programming before we come out and start working, that would go so far to looking at more adequate assessment, diagnosis, and treatment for eating disorders. So that's kind of what I would like to do. A lot of the training that's set up right now is for people who are already in the field for continuing education.
Gotcha.
So, I'm not the first person to have thought of this, of course, but as someone who owns a clinic and I'm hiring, new trainees, new therapists and RDs and psychiatrists and MDs to join my practice, we're constantly having to train them from the very basics.
Okay.
And for those out there in private practice, healthcare professionals, want more training around this so that they can help.
Absolutely. Wow. No, that's great. That's great. So I'm hoping that I'm gonna see this come to fruition here in the near future. Yeah.
I've said it out loud here with you live, Dr.
Exactly
G,
right.
so it's out there.
And it's out there. The universe is listening. She always answers. So there you go. There you go. Yeah, absolutely. And so the next fill in the blank is, to me, fearless freedom means.
Wow. To me, fearless freedom means living your life under your terms, on your terms. Not having to work through all the BS and all of that to just be the best version of yourself and reach your full potential, whatever that may be in whatever field or area or community. And this, I think, speaks very much to what we're seeing right now, Dr. G, as well.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, wouldn't that just be so liberating? And imagine all the wonderful energy and creative forces that you would release if everyone was just appreciated and allowed to be as they are. Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. And then last but not least, my battle cry is.
My battle cry is to unite under that. I think to unite under this idea of giving people space to be their own person and to reach their own fullest potential of themselves, and just get the hell out of the way. Do your own work on yourself instead of pointing the finger at others. So my battle cry is, look inward, do your work, and then come together and unite so we can do better for everyone.
Awesome.
Pretty
awesome.
lofty.
Well, there you have it, folks. There you have it. Melainie Rogers. So check her out. Check her out on her platform, and check her out if you're in New York City. Definitely hit her up because she's got a lot of knowledge to share. She's got a lot to give. So thank you for being on the show. And thank you for sharing.
Thanks so much, Dr. G.